Zoom is connecting to Facebook. Oh, we actually managed on time. To Facebook. Turn off the volume here. Yeah, we should be live on both platforms.
Yeah, perfect timing.
Perfect timing, yeah. Welcome, Redmi. I suppose that's Rosalinda Ortega from Philippines with us on Facebook. Welcome, everybody on Facebook. How are you keeping, Marcin?
I'm very well. Thank you, Joe. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'd like to welcome you on the Way Showers Talk first episode. Marcin Lapczynski is a friend of mine from United States. He's certified divorce coach, and we will have an open conversation today. We hope that will be beneficial to yourself as much as possible. And the reason for this podcast talk to start was brewing in my head for a couple of months. We are both coaches, we, the two of us, on this particular talk. And at this stage, we might be seen by our public or by people that view us as maybe sometimes unreachable, you know, because they see only the flashing things that we have programs, we do lives, we do talks, we speak with people like Les Brown or John Tallarico. So sometimes 15 years ago, when I started in this industry, these people were too high out of a reach for me because they were too high from the position where I was. So I would like to share insights of our own lives, our own stories, how we came to the stage where we are, what we had to overcome, so you guys that are watching us or listening us can benefit from it. Because I believe that there are situations in life where you could and want to use a helping hand, but from time to time, you maybe don't know for sure who to ask, where to turn, or where to look for the information, right? So if I may, Marcin, I'll give yourself a little bit introduction. Marcin was born in Poland, which is our neighboring country to Slovakia, and he moved to United States when he was 12. He was struggling with English language, and he had no idea what is awaiting for him in the new country. Over the years, he pursued and experienced the American dream through hard work and determination. Even though he faced adversity through his journey, Marcin believed in a world where a shattered reality led to shattering his next glass ceiling in life. He was resilient through discipline and using pillars to forge himself a path to success. Marcin is as well a single father of two beautiful children, which I was privileged to see. He's entrepreneur, credit repair specialist, motivational speaker, and certified divorce coach, as well founder of Awakening Coaching. He founded Awakening Coaching to create a community for divorced men to get empowered, honored, healed to achieve their goals, and rediscover themselves and their purpose in life. This is exactly what I just mentioned before your introduction, and I am really proud to have you on with us here. Welcome, Marcin.
Thank you very much, Joe. I really, truly do appreciate you for having me on. Thank you.
Thank you. How was your day today before coming here?
Very good, very good. You know what? I was very excited. You know, I told my family, I told my friends that, you know, I'll be today on your show, and they were really happy for me. They were really supportive for me that, you know what, they see more and more of me putting myself out there, because, you know what, they see now that I am in that divorce coaching and I help divorced men and women pre, during, and after divorce. And they see that I have many clients that I work with and see the difference that I make in their lives and so on. Because, you know, when I share a little bit some of the stories, you know, how I was able to help my clients, especially single moms, single dads, you know, overcome the pain, the struggle that they are going through or they went through. And it's just, they are very, very supportive. And that's what I really love and appreciate about, you know, my friends and my family and especially you as well, for your support and everything that, you have done or do for me as well.
Mm-hmm. So I know the answer, but I'll ask the question for the audience. What was the main point when you were deciding that you're going to get into this particular niche of a coaching industry, the divorce coaching? Why divorce coaching?
Yeah, you know what, Joe? A really good question. I get asked that question many times everywhere I go, because no one heard about a divorce coach, right? What is a divorce coach, right? What does divorce coach do? And when I tell them what I do is, I am not pro divorces or anything. No, I am, because 3 years ago I went through a divorce all by myself. I was the first one in my family that has got divorced. No one else in my family. I was the first one. So as I was going through the very unpleasant journey, very painful, very heartbroken journey, lots of overwhelming feelings, emotions, and being there and not knowing what the process is, not knowing what you're getting yourself into, what is this divorce will look like for me, for my kids, for my family, for my friends. How is it going to impact everybody, right? Not knowing the road ahead. And what is the first thing that we do, right? We go and seek out the attorney, the divorce attorney. But divorce attorneys, they help you with the legal stuff, right? But what about your well-being? What about your emotions, right? There was no one there for me. I did it all by myself. I invested in myself, with a lot of self-help books, with a lot of self-help videos. That's how I met Mr. Les Brown. That's how I met, our coach, John Tellerico. And through me seeking help, because, I was tired of just, working, coming home, sitting on the couch, watching TV and wasting my life. I told myself that there's got to be something bigger. And I read this book, Think and Grow Rich. And what Napoleon Hill said, that if there is a problem out there, right, that you see, why don't you find a solution? So when I look back, at my journey, my divorce journey, I said, you know what, there was no one there for me that has really helped me, right? That had really would guide me through this process, that would really advise me, how I should handle certain things, right? So that was really hard. And when I look back, right, and I ask myself, why don't I just get into divorce coaching? Because a coach, helped me transform my life. A coach helped me rediscover the true potential, the true talents, the gifts that I have within me. A coach helped me open up my mind, just show me what the possibility is, right? What can we be? What can we achieve in our life? And I'm like, you know what? Why can't I share those gifts, those talents, those tools that I have learned with the men, with the women that are going through a divorce, that are suffering, through the emotional pain, through the heartbreak, through the overwhelming emotions, because families are broken down, everybody is hurting, the parents, the kids, the family around and everyone. So why not be there for them, be their emotional support, be their thinking partner, be their guide, be their tour guide throughout the whole process? Because there is so much that is going on through that divorce that, if you cannot even think clearly, because you're just so overwhelmed, your whole world, just shattered into reality. Everything that you have built for so many years now has completely been destroyed. And now when everything is destroyed, now it takes time to rebuild everything, right? And what does this life will look like? Now you're on your own, right? There is, sometimes many individuals that are going through a divorce, they don't have no family members, they don't have no friends to help them, right? And there is, especially among men, there is very high suicidal rate, because, men, they cannot take this emotional pain, and, they commit suicide. And it's very, very sad, it's for, it just, when you go through this process, through this pain, you have very bad thoughts that goes through your mind.
I'm really glad you're mentioning this, because even though we know each other a little bit, we have co-authored one book together last year, if I remember right at the time. But you have just reminded me of my year 2014, because that was for me the process when when my divorce started, before the legal stuff. And that was the time when I was looking for help. So I can absolutely feel every single word that you're saying, and especially what I have overcome in that process. But what I have later found, talking with men and women, especially men, are not looking for help, because we have been conditioned and structured in our mind that man shouldn't ask for help because man is strong enough to overcome anything.
Yeah.
That is not true by no means at all, because same as men or same as women, we are emotional living beings as well. We do need help from other people, be it men or women, doesn't matter. But one of our needs, fundamental needs, is to feel appreciated and be understood. So this is the reason why we should ask for help. Absolutely, I agree with you. And I really admire the niche that you have chosen, because as you said, there was no divorce coach before you were looking into it. There's a lot of things going through my mind that went on for 8 years without coach that could direct me, especially in the relationships area, right? Although I am a mindset coach, and 8 years is a long time to looking at my year 2014 with 2022 mindset, but the memories are still there, and I see that it could save me years of suffering, hardship, wasted time and emotions if there would be a proper direction, right?
Yeah.
Or someone that we could talk to with the experience. I'd like to take you a little bit deeper, Marcin. What would you say there was the most difficult part in your awakening process? Because we can put a date on a divorce, right? But if we want to find out when it became clear and obvious, then we can start tracing it back the steps that we should have done better to avoid it. So when did you start realizing the hardest part, that it is going to fall apart?
Well, when I recall, when I go back, when the marriage was falling apart, my ex-wife kept saying that, it's not going to work out, it's not going to work out, right? And at the end, I was doing everything I could just to save the marriage, right? But what I have learned now and what I teach is, once a woman makes up her mind that she's done, that she's out, it's really hard to convince her or to, get her back, right? You can take her out to nice dates, to nice dinners, movie theaters. You can buy fancy purses. You can buy fancy shoes and all that stuff. But you know what? It's not about that. It's about being there. It's about giving that attention to that woman that they need, right? It's about that love. It's about that support. But unfortunately, with the society, with the social media and everything that is going on, we grow apart, right? Because we pay attention to the outside world, right? We don't focus on us, right? We don't focus on our families. We focus on, hey, how is our neighbor doing? How is our friends doing? What homes they're living in, what cars they're driving, and so on. And with everything else, with kids, with the homework, with the work outside the house, there's a lot of just distraction. And no one teaches us about marriage, right? What is a successful marriage? Who do you learn it from, right? There's no school that teaches, right? Maybe you learn a little bit from your parents. You see how your parents' marriage was, what they have done. Maybe you take some of that stuff, that you look at what they have done, what has worked for them, what hasn't worked for them, right? So it's all a lesson, right? It just, you have to work on it. If you don't work on your marriage, you work on your divorce. And it didn't, there were some talks and all that we're talking, but you know what, you Joe, when that is happening, is it doesn't really hit you when it's happening, because you walk around like zombie. You're just numb. You're numb. I would go to work, I would be there, but I wouldn't even know how I just got by the day. You know, I would be there physically, but emotionally here, the self-talk, the inner dialogue, the story that you would have with yourself, it's very horrible. It's very horrible. It's just, I don't wish upon anybody, you know, to go through the divorce, because what I see, you know, with my clients, what they go through, it's hard. It's really hard. And, you know, once it actually happened, right? And it's like the final stab in the back with the knife that, you know,
Yeah.
when now you had to move out of the house, right? You had to take your clothes. You know, I had to move in back to my parents' house because I had no place to go to, because I had no money to afford rent, to mortgage or anything because of childcare, child support. Is, you know, if I had the tools, if I had the knowledge now that I have now, back then, I would have completely redone things differently. Because you know what, and that is the reason why I help, you know, my clients to guide them through this journey, because it's been very horrible.
You have mentioned various amazing things, and this is exactly it. We do what we do with our work because what we went through. And I love what Les told me when I was talking to him in person once. He said, once your story is over, once you went through the story and you overcame that particular hurdle, it's your spiritual responsibility to share it with the world, because it might be a part of survival guide for somebody else. And I believe that we should do what we love to do. And me personally, there's nothing more than see another person overcoming something in their life that, you know, with your experience and knowledge, that it saved them 2, 3, 4 years. And not a long time. If we take financial part aside, the most important thing in both of our cases, I will personalize it now, are children. Because the two adults that are in a relationship have way better starting point solving out the problem, whatever way, than our children to understand what's going on. So I truly believe that we should seek out help as well for our children to be the least impactful for them. Because we can see many cases. We can see people using children as a bait because of whatever the other person wants from the partner that is divorced, right? But we are forgetting that our children are watching. They not necessarily need to hear every single conversation, but they will model and copy every behavior that they come into contact with, especially in contact with their mother or their father. So what I'd like to stress in this point is we should focus on what is important in life. That means not only ourselves, but what we have created during that period before we got to the divorce, right? Because as you mentioned that no one told us how to build a successful marriage. Of course, we were not born with a remote controller. We were not born with a manual, so we could just read it and know how to live. Every single one of us on this planet is going through situations, problems, and according to their level of mindset that they have developed, they can solve that. But there's always someone that we can ask for guidance or ask for help. Yes, and the most clearly you see the steps that you have messed up along the way, only when the thing is over, right? But we still can learn from that. Nothing is gone. The life isn't over. We have children. Our responsibility is to make everything as much possible and as much beautiful to overcome that process, for them to understand, for them to be able to grow mentally strong as well.
Yeah.
I have a hard question for you, if I may. Do you have any big regret from that process?
The only one thing they regret is, I would say, to the man, to the woman right now that is watching us, that are in a marriage or in a relationship, is, I would say, one advice to you is, especially for us men, right? I would say for me, it was hard to communicate, to be open and honest, right? Because I would stop myself, because always, what if she would say this? What if she would say that? Maybe she's not gonna like it, this and that, right? Maybe I wasn't truly expressing my feelings, my emotions, right? How I actually felt, right? Maybe she really didn't understood me, what I wanted in the marriage as well. And it was only a one-way street, right? Okay, whatever she says, then okay, we'll go with it, right? And sometimes maybe you didn't agree with that. And, many of us maybe don't speak up that, hey, you know what? Hey, let's look at different options. I would say communication is number one. The other one too is spend sometimes what I have learned, from very successful coaches, reading many books, is set aside, put it in your calendar at least half an hour with your wife or with your husband, and have like a really deep, honest conversations, because everything is happening so fast right now in society, with work, kids, all the other activities, right? But when was really actually a time where you sit down with your wife, with your husband, with your boyfriend, and with your girlfriend, and we talked about, hey, how did this week has gone by, right? How are you doing? How are you feeling, man? What is it that we got to work on, right? What do I have to do better, right? What do you have to better on? And so I think that is a very important key, because in my new relationship with my girlfriend, we do that, and it's tremendously helping both of us to grow, to explore each other, because you're always, every single day, you're learning about your partner. You don't know about everything. So that is very powerful. My regrets, that would be it, like, have a better communication, be open, be honest, actually tell the other person, how do you feel? And a regret too is, sometimes when you're married to, or most of the time, you go through this honeymoon stage, and then later on, when kids come, home come, you put so much attention to the kids, right? You don't put that attention to us, right? Because now we're so tired, cooking, cleaning, all the things that we got to do. Then you go to bed, hey, good night, I love you. And it's just, you get into this vicious cycle when you start growing apart, right? There are no feelings, there's no emotions or anything. And, many complaints, that I hear from couples, there's the lack of intimacy. And many times, the relationships are falling apart just because of that as well.
Absolutely. That's caused by lack of focus. I 100% agree with you. And from what I see, besides my own experience with marriage and divorce, when two people start hanging out with each other, what would you do for the other person? Everything.
Mm-hmm.
You would bring down the moon and stars, right? But later on, our focus is diversified elsewhere. And when kids come, very often children becomes number one priority in parents' life. Now, I have a 10-year-old daughter. I have made my mistakes. I have learned on my own skin, and I can fairly say that this is a big problem, because before children came to this world, there was the two of you, the couple, right? It should always stay the same. If man and woman will put each other on the first position or first level, right after God or spirit or whoever you believed in, they will have always way of working out things, talk about things, manage things, raise kids together. Not, I want to do it this way, I want to do it this way. That's where a lot of problems are starting, because I have my own opinion and it's better than yours. This is lacking foundation in relationship from my own personal point of view, because as you said, at the beginning stage of the relationship, we call it pink glasses. Everything is fantastic, the person is God and God is an angel. But then when you get to know the parts that you don't like, you start losing that excellent impression, right? But love is not only about the pink glasses at the beginning of the relationship. So definitely communication and building relationship together from the first stages at the beginning. Because what is happening in a lot of cases, and I'm speaking for myself as well, however, you are the expert in divorce. When divorce is happening, all of a sudden, both parents put 100% focus on kids, right? Because they think that all they have to focus on, what they have to do now is their children. That's not really the truth. Yeah, the truth is we have to take care of them so they are emotionally supported from us, so they know 100% that they are loved no matter what, and that we stand behind them, even though that we are not together as parents anymore, but we still both love them 100%. But then we have to take care of our own mindset and emotional state, because if we wouldn't make it, which by what you just said is very close to my story, when you are alone and going through the process, is very hard just to have clear mind and not to lose it. So many people commit suicide because they can't cope with it and handle it. We have to focus on mindset. And that's the reason why we should reach out to someone and ask for help.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, to getting back to the kids, right? What is happening when the divorces do happen and when there are kids involved? There is just so much that is going on, you know, the work that I do with my clients and what I hear, right? It's more of the bad, right? Where kids, like you mentioned before, are used as bait, are used as weapons. There is a lot of happening of parental alienation, right? There's a lot of brainwashing, you know, one parent against each other. And you know what? Why is this happening, right? Because in the beginning, you know, when you go through this divorce process, you're just so angry. You have this hatred towards this other person, right? You have stomach knots. You have thoughts that cross your mind that you wouldn't think that, you know, you have it in you, right? Because you're just so furious, you know, you just want to destroy that person. You just want to destroy him, right? Because you hate him so much. And I've been going through that stuff. And I asked myself, like, hold on, that's not me, you know, this is not who I am, right? This is not who I act as is, right? But this is not natural feelings and emotions to go through this process, right? But then, you know, if I haven't had that coach, right? If I hadn't had that mentor, then I'll probably be still dealing with those feelings, with those emotions, with this negativity, with this hatred toward, you know, my ex-wife. But with the help of the coach, of the mentor, totally had transformed my life. You know, I have learned so much to rediscover myself, right? To change my mindset, to change the way I think, to change the way I have the inner dialogue myself. And it helped me so much physically, with my body, with my health, right? Because if you're dealing with these negative emotions, right, with these negative thoughts, they impact your health, right? They impact your body, and you cannot even function because you have anxiety, you have depression, you know, you're in this negative state all the time. You attract this negativity into your life. Nothing is working out for me, you know, everything is working against me, and so on, you know. So there's just a lot. But, you know, with the help of the coaches, it's amazing. It's such a transformation, such a shift that, you know, it has helped me. And that's why I am so passionate. I love coaching. I love helping men and women, because, you know what, I've been there, I experienced the pain, and it's fun to help other people, you know, to show them what the possibility is.
I agree with you, because I have seen your journey for the last 2 years. That's the time period when we know each other. And I have in the back of my mind and my head how long it took me, right? And I can see, because you had someone that helped you going through the process, it took you half the time that it did to me, right? And it's not about that someone is better person or someone is smarter person. When emotional stuff like this hit, as they're saying, with the shit, when shit hit the fan, you forget everything that you know or knew. You forget how to behave, because your emotions will close every single rational brain cell that you have in you to see clearly, right? I remember very well me walking 6 months like a dead body. I was living in Ireland since 2005. I had worked as a salesman for W. Clement Stone's company. I was able to choose a job offers at the time, right? But in the year 2014, I couldn't get a job in a hotel. That's how bad my mindset was. That's how bad my emotional state was. And connect to what you just said right now. Your vibration changes so much and is so bad that you cannot attract anything positive or constructive when you are really at the level 0. Word coach is used very often, right? And some people might get allergic to it. But my explanation is coach means teacher or someone that can guide you through the process that he went through himself. Mm-hmm. And that's a different way of looking at the word coach, right? Because you have now coach, mentor, a lot of the types of names. But I'd like to know people that are watching it that we haven't just read 2 books and decided to be coaches or mentors or help people, right? Every single thing that we are mentioning here is coming from our own experiences. And as we have one coach that we went through together 2 years ago, Les Brown was my awakening part as well. Now I'll reconnect to something else. For many months or sometimes many years, you might be thinking what to do with your life. And especially when you're going through some hard process like this, because emotionally it's like a tornado. If you'll have in your mind that someone else is out there that needs your experience that you went through, that will give you bigger boost than just focusing on yourself. Because when you're down on the ground, you see nothing but black, but dark, but everybody is against me. It's really hard to see positive thing outside. For us, Marcin, at the moment, after years of personal development, it's very easy to reach out for a coach. But if you'll rewind back 2, 3, 4 years ago, we didn't have the same frame of mind, right? So what I'd like to our audience to focus on is coaches are people that went through the hardship that can save you years in your own progress, right? You should always pick a coach by how you can relate to him. See what he's doing, what he went through. If he can guide you through the process that you're going through, right? Because that's the sign, in my opinion, that the coach is capable of helping you by asking right questions, by showing you the right advice. That's my opinion about it.
Yeah. No, it's I am back then, when I was in my marriage, no one told me about coaches that they exist or mentors.
Yeah,
no one did. Yeah.
It was same with me because I was so ignorant at the time, and ignorance mean not knowing that you don't know. I have avoided Bob Proctor for 14 years, right? Because I just said, no, this man is talking out of the bag, right? This can't be true. And because I had no one around me at the time that could slap me on the head and say, well, this man have a gray hair, so he probably went through some more stuff in his life than you. You should just listen and open your mind. 14 years. Now imagine what you can do in 14 years. That's for some people, 1/4 of a life. Yeah. This is how big difference coaching can do for you. Amazing.
Yeah. Also, too, what I would say to our audience as well is because you know what, Joe, I've been there. I've been in those shoes where, like how I come about, making that decision, because like I mentioned before, that I was just sick and tired living this life, right? Where why am I just throwing my life away, just working, paying bills, watching TV, and doing the same thing over and over, this vicious cycle, right? And there was something inside of me that wanted to do more, that I knew that I have more in me. And like we talk about coaches, right? So there is a lot of that fear, right, that is stopping us, right? Like to me, when I, when I met with Dolly, when I had my consultation, when we talked, and when she said what the price is to work with a coach, obviously, you're like blown away. But I had a choice. I had to make a decision. Do I want to live the life that I'm living right now, that I'm angry, that I'm not happy, that I'm upset? Or do I want to invest in myself? I spent all of my savings that I had, after we split everything in half. And do I want to bet on myself? And that's what I did. You know what? I asked myself, what is the worst thing that can happen? I will learn something, I will get better, and I will multiply the money by whatever the X, right? And that's what I did, right? And that was the best thing. That was the best decision that I did for myself, because I'll probably be unhappy, because I'll probably be miserable, but not to brag about it. Like, Joe, you witnessed my journey, what I have went through, right? I probably wouldn't be here today because I would not have the self-confidence that I have within me, right? I would not be here today because because of my self-image, right? That will probably stop me. In motivational speaking, I'm a co-author of a book, now a certified divorce coach in just 3 years, because I committed myself, because I had a goal, I had a vision, and I did this for myself to help others, right? Because I ask myself, like I ask my clients, right, or somebody that's listening to right now, there's always something that you really wanted to be or do in life, right? If you were laying right now, like our mentor Les Brown says, if you were right now, let's say, laying on your deathbed, right?
Mm.
And if you would ask yourself, what is one thing that you wish you did, right? What is that one thing that you wish for that? Why did it stop me? Why did it stop me? Why didn't I do this, or why didn't I do that?
Unfortunately, many people are waiting exactly for this sign, and I have to admit that I am one of them, because I knew deep inside of me that all my life people were coming to me for advice, right? In some areas, some parts of the life, but I never took it seriously until I almost died. Until I was on the deathbed 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago, I made a decision to do it, to really help a larger amount of people, just one by one, right? 2 or 3 years ago, none of us could speak like this on a live call front of a camera, because there was no self-confidence. But this is what investing in yourself gives you. It will give you new mindset, you will develop new skill set, and you will develop self-confidence. This is what it is all about, because most of people are looking at investing in yourself as a price tag. That's not the biggest part of it. Forget about money. If you want to change something in your life, you have to change your daily routines and habits that you're doing. That's the biggest investment in yourself. That's the biggest part that you have to overcome, but it's necessary in order to change the results that you have around you, which you're not happy with.
Yeah, it's a lifestyle change. You have to, many examples that I also share with my clients, or when I speak with my friends, or look at how many of us know people that we're almost at end of the year, right? We have 2 more months to go, right? How many people in December, end of December, will make New Year's resolutions, right? Probably 90% of people will make a New Year's resolution. What happens now? I want to lose weight. I want to look better, fit better, eat healthy. I want to, quit smoking and all that stuff, right? And what happens, right? Everybody does that, right? Here comes March, April, and what happens? They all started gym. They did all this stuff, right? And they went back. They
You
quit.
are very generous. You're very generous, March, April, because most of the resolution won't last 2 weeks after the New Year's is there. Yeah.
Yeah. So those are some of the things, that Joe and I, we help our clients with, because there are certain things that we teach about, our, how we humans work, about our mindsets, about your conscious, our subconscious mind, about, our habits and so on. So, what Joe and I, we haven't been like we are now. It took work, it took time, it took, money, it took dedication, behind the scenes, to, you know, invest in ourselves, right? Invest into self-development and surrounding ourselves with people that have been there, done that, right? That's why we are here today. We are also the messengers, you know, we are the tools, we are the vessels for you here today. You know, if you are someone that is listening that needs a mindset coach or need a divorce coach, right? We are your tour guides, right? We are your helping hands, you know, to help you navigate you through the process, you know, to make the process more efficient, more faster. Instead of you going, you know, accomplishing something in 3 years, we can help you do it in a year or so, you know, cut the time in half or maybe even more.
Absolutely. I would compare that to, let's say a person have some degree of education in school, right? But when he wants to level up in his job in the corporate world, he needs a higher education. He needs to go through some courses, through upgrades, because as we are not using the same computers as we were using 15 years ago, why do you think that your level of mindset is sufficient enough just because you finished school 20 or 25 years ago? Everything is changed. Life is changed. You are not the same person as you were 10 or 15 or 20 years ago. You went through a lot in your life by default settings that you had. But if it didn't bring you the results that you desired, that means that you have to change something. And one thing that we people do is trying to change another person. That's a disaster, because if you think that everybody else is responsible for your happiness or for the circumstances that you have in your life, your psychiatrist would really like to talk to you about it, right? Because knowing in our world over the last 3-5 years how hard it is with personal development to change ourselves, to start to see the change in others. It's impossible to change other people. However, once you'll start implementing new mindset, new idea, you will start talking with different people that you did up till the point where you came to the stage of divorce. You will start to see different results, because if you keep pouring Coca-Cola into a glass, you can't expect to have water in there. Right? You have to change what you're inputting in.
Yeah.
I have a question, Marcin. Let's go back to divorce process. We surely have someone that is watching us now or 10 years in future and will use this. And I'm saying this because my life was saved by a person that have recorded his video 30 years prior to me seeing it. So I know that this will be used in the future. What would be the single most important advice that you can give to a person? It doesn't matter if it's man or woman, going through beginning phase of a divorce, when really shit hit the fan.
Yeah. You know what? The most important thing would be absolutely is reach out to someone for help. You know, reach out for support, right? And that's what I help my clients with as well too. You know, the key is to build your support team, right? Especially here in the United States, right? Maybe in Europe is the same. The mistakes that I have made, you know, when I was going through the divorce, I did not know the process. I was heavily relying on the divorce attorney, right? I did not know about the divorce coach or a therapist. I did not know about a financial advisor, about all the other people that I needed to help me, to guide me through this process. Because you know what it is? If you invest that money up front, and if you are thinking clearly, if you make those wise decisions, then you know you're gonna come out winning the divorce game, right? Because many times we make decisions based on our emotions. That's what I did. And right now, 3 years after, I'm paying for those mistakes because I make decisions based on my emotions. And that wasn't right, because I should have, you know, hired a financial advisor, right? I should have hired a coach or just reached out to someone to help me. It is the key. It is very important, you know, to seek out help, guidance from professionals in different industries that you really need to help you through this, because this is a business, right? This is a business of divorce. This is your life. You know, the decisions that you're going to make today will impact you, you know, 2, 3, 4, 5 years later on down the road. So that is the key, very important. Reach out for help, support yourself with the winning support team, because that's the key for you to win the divorce game. Because you know what, you will see the difference with the person that has some support, guidance, coach, mentor, whoever that is, on their side versus that person who doesn't. It's totally different game, that you're playing. So that is my key as well. And also too, one thing, Joe, that I like to go back about us trying to change somebody, right? What I also, when I coach, tell, work with my clients is now the life after divorce, right? You have healed, you have rebuilt yourself. Now you're entering the world of dating, right? Let's say it's been 2-3 years, whatever. Now you're brand new. You obviously the times have changed, right? Versus how it was before, right? When we were dating, everything is online, apps, all those different sites and everything, right? So like what you mentioned is it starts with us. We think like a person, let's say, for example, you got divorced. Now you got divorced because whatever the reasons is. Now you're going into the new relationship, right? But you are still your old self. You still have the same thinking. You still have the same garbage. You still have the same habits, everything about yourself, right? Now you're thinking that, okay, I'm going to meet a new woman or a man. Now my relationship is going to be better. I'm going to be happy. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work right. It starts with us, because I learned that, you have to start with yourself, self-love, right? You have to love yourself first. You have to forgive, right? Because you know what? Nobody out there will make you happy except yourself. If you're not happy with yourself, no one else will, right? Like they say, oh, I found the other half of the apple, or I found the missing puzzle that completes me now. That's not true. That's not true. You know what? You got to be whole first. You got to be the complete apple. You got to be the puzzle. Because otherwise, if you're always going to depend on other person's happiness, you're never going to be happy in a relationship, and it's not going to work. I've been there. I've done that. I've seen it.
Agree with you 100%. This is emotional intelligence when you start from yourself. And I actually spoke about this on the first episode that I had last week with Hadija. Looking for another half, finding another half. But what does that mean? Do I look like I'm a half a person? Or was I born just from the top up or from the top to bottom? No, we are a full person. So we should give our very best, 100%. But at first, 100% to ourselves, to heal in us what caused the previous mistakes in our life, as you said, so we don't carry them forward to another person or to another relationship. Because what is happening often, we speak again from experience. You end one relationship, you come to a new one, and then down the line, 1 or 2 or 3 months, you'll discover a situation when you'll think, Jesus, that person is the very same as was the previous one. No. You are the same person, and you haven't changed anything about yourself, so you cannot expect a different result. If you'll keep doing every single day the same thing, and you're expecting different outcome, you might seek for psychiatric help, as I mentioned before as well, because that's a definition of insanity. So if we want to see different result in our life, and particularly speaking about relationship, first we have to solve what caused previous relationship or marriage to end at the stage where it did, solving ourselves by seeking for help and advice. And then we can start rebuilding our life, because there's never late for that. Mm-hmm. Once you wake up, you still have a chance to do whatever you wanted to do. Don't wait for the New Year's resolution. Do it now. Do it tomorrow morning. Do it tonight. Write out on the paper what you would like to change, but start with you, with yourself. Yes. I have a question. What upcoming projects are you working on at the moment for our audience that are specifically orientated about dating process, restarting, divorce process, restarting their dating process? Do you have something up in your sleeve for them that they might be looking up for?
I do. It's still in process. I just started, with an idea that I have, that I'm, once again, I'm working with a coach. that I hired again because, to get more deeper into another level. And that's all in works. I have completed my website. So that was, one of my many goals that I have. And right now it's just, booking that one-on-one session with me and doing that discovery call and go from there. Right. And I have many tools. I have many things up my sleeve that, I help my clients pre, during, and after divorce. I help them with all those different things. I'm also certified transition and recovery coach as well. So there's just so many different things that, Joe, I'm focusing on that while I'm thinking about the other things as well, because, you got to master one thing before you move on to another.
Absolutely, I agree. But in what you just said, people can see that you not only overcame the situation that you're living at the moment, that you are a divorce coach, but you constantly work on yourself to improve your set of skills, to improve your mindset. So your range of the audience that you can help is going to be wider and wider. This is what we love about self-development, that it never ends.
No, you know why, Joe? Like I said many times, other shows that I have been as well. Like yesterday, I did my Facebook Live, and I talk about the daily routine, the importance of it, why it is important to have that daily routine, right? Because if you don't have it, right, if you're developing something new, right, you're rebuilding yourself, you're this new person, right? And if you stop doing that routine, then what happens, right? You go back to your old self. And it's not fun, right? I said, I don't want to go back no more. I don't want to live this life. I don't want to feel the way I was feeling before, because, I have a different mission. I have a different purpose in my life. You got to keep going. Sometimes it's not easy. As for us coaches as well, it is overwhelming too. We're human beings. We have feelings as well. We are not perfect. We make mistakes, but there's a lot of sacrifices that we sacrifice as well. Time, money, family, and things like that to help others.
Absolutely. So the key point at the beginning of a stage of a divorce is seek for advice, look for support groups that can help you out, and look for a person or coach or mentor that went through what you went through. Just don't lock yourself up for too long. Of course, there is a grieving stage at the very beginning. Okay, embrace it. Embrace those feelings. Just don't live in them, right? Look for advice, look for informations, and look for someone that can help you. Can you share your webpage with us, Marcin?
Yeah, my website is, you can find me at www.coachmarcin, it's marcin.com. Very easy to reach me. You can also find me on Facebook. We can find me on Instagram, Marcin Lapczynski. I'll put it in the comments section here as well. You can look up my name, website. That's all I have for now. I am working on a YouTube channel as well to post all my videos on there too. Perfect.
We will put it into underneath the videos on Facebook, on Instagram, as well for people that can find you. Now, as well, if you'd like to know more about mindset development, just send me direct message on Instagram with word interested, and we'll get you connected with Marcin, we'll get you connected with myself, and we'll find out the way how we can assist you or serve you if that's going to be the choice for yourself. Do you have anything, Marcin, that I didn't ask about your process as a divorce coach, and that is crucial and necessary for people to know?
The only thing I have is what you mentioned already, is seek for help sooner than later. That is the key, because so many clients that I work with are already at the end of their divorce, right? And there is already a lot of emotional trauma done that could have been prevented, right? If it's like catching a cancer, right? You go in for a biopsy. You don't ignore the symptoms that you're having. You go right away, see the doctor. So same thing, if you know that, hey, you're getting into the divorce, or you're complaining about the divorce or something, seek out immediately, hey, who can I surround myself? Who can I ask for help, for advice, right? How should I handle this? How should I approach it, right? Who should I hire as a divorce attorney, right? Do I need a financial advisor, right? What is it going to look like with my kids, with my family, with the home, with my job, what the life after, right? Because you're so emotionally overwhelmed when you don't think about the big picture, right? You're just so narrow focused. So that would be my key.
Perfect. The straight away, as you started talking, a quote from Les Brown jumped in my head because we are surrounded by his teaching for the last 3 years. Ask for help, not because you're weak, but because you want to remain strong.
Yes.
Right. This is what we had to learn a hard way. We are showing you that there is easier way to that.
Yeah.
Marcin,
And then
yeah,
go ahead, sorry. No, I wanted to tell our audience, if you are a divorced man or a woman, or if you are going through a divorce, or if you know someone that is struggling with their life, post the divorce, they're still not themselves, right? Who they used to be, right? They're still going through this emotional process. I want to tell you that, hey, I love you. I love you. I appreciate you. Stay strong because I believe in you. I believe in you. You are so powerful. You have so many amazing gifts, so many amazing talents within you. Let me help you rediscover those gifts, those talents, your true potential that is within you, right? Let me help you, live the life that you deserve, to be happy, to live the new life, after divorce that you deserve, right? True happiness in your life. I believe in you because I believe in myself. And I am proud of you for everything that you have gone through and what you're going through right now. Stay strong, ask for help. Don't be afraid. Don't be shy. Don't let other people's opinions define you or anything, because you know what? This is your life. This is your life. So you know what? You're in charge of your life. You make the decision for you. What is the best for you? Not for your mom, not for your dad, not for your brother or sister or for a neighbor. What's best for me? Thank you.
That was amazing, Marcin. Thank you very much for this last message. I almost stopped it. Thank God I didn't. Yes, it is important for people to realize that you or me is no difference. We are really all one. And once we start approaching people as we would like to be approached, everything can change way quicker and save us many years, many years. Marcin, I really appreciate your time and coming on. Once again, it's coachmarcin.com. The web address we will put into Facebook and Instagram and for you to be visible. If you're interested to find out more about mindset development, just send me a message on Instagram with word interested and we'll get you sorted.
Yeah,
right?
Yes, thank you, Joe. I really do appreciate, you for who you are. Such an incredible human being, such an incredible soul, such an incredible friend, true friend that I have, that I can also reach out for help, for guidance, because you are an inspiration, not only to me, but to the whole world. I witness your journey as well. What you're doing with your clients is just phenomenal. What you do, how you transform their lives as well. You are such a wonderful person, and I really admire everything that you do, and thank you for this opportunity, because you know what, like you said before, that, this video might change someone's life like it did yours back then.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Marcin.
Yeah.
Thank you to Redmi being with us on our Zoom, and we'll see you on our next episode, which will be live on Wednesday this week. We're going to have another friend, Mansur Pudic. Looking forward to seeing you again, guys, and I'll see you soon.
Yes. Thank you, guys. Much love to you all. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.